In the beginning of the event, there are two choices available to the prefect, both of which reference Tanabata. I wonder if it's like Tanabata, which was changed to wishing on stars isn't uncommon, on en, and isn't that Tanabata, which was changed to we make wishes on certain special occasions back home, too. Tanabata might not be very well known amongst the target audience for the English language adaptation of the game, so it makes sense that these options were rewritten. Tanabata is based on a folklore story from China. There are many versions of it, but to summarize one of the more common, Orihime and Hikoboshi were a couple that were brought together by Orihime's father and got married, but they liked each other so much that they abandoned their other responsibilities, weaving for Orihime, and cowherding for Hikoboshi. Orihime's father separated them on either side of the Milky Way to force them back to work, only allowing them to meet on the 7th day of the 7th month. The first time they tried to reunite they could not make it across the Milky Way, so a flock of magpies came and made a bridge of their wings for Orihime to cross. These days, rain on July 7th is sometimes referred to as the tears of Orihime and Hikoboshi, because it is said that if it rains then the river, the Milky Way, rises too much for the magpies to be able to help, so the two cannot meet. That is where the rain on this day is bad news part might come from in the Wish Upon a Star event. Hanging wishing stars on trees might have also been inspired by Tanabata, as it involves writing wishes on strips of paper and hanging them on bamboo. As for how any of this ended up in the game at all, Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea have celebrated the Tanabata festival with parades in the past, with Minnie dressed as Orihime and Mickey dressed as Hikoboshi.
Yeah, there's no wishing upon stars once you become a high school student.
It is not uncommon for the English language adaptation to remove or downplay in-game references to NRC being a high school.
Boys in particular can feel embarrassed and not want to do stuff like this, you know?
Like Appel, Trey may have some hang-ups regarding gender roles that are being removed from the English language adaptation. While, of course, it would be best for no one to have such outdated opinions, it is reminiscent of a comment made by the game's creator, Toboso Yana, in a 2020 interview from the Magical Archives Game Guide. What I always keep in mind when writing scenarios is that the aim is not for it to be loved by everyone. Villains are not meant to be loved and cheered on by everyone. They are villains. That is why there is sometimes something attractive about them. As long as villains are the basis for these characters, I think it is important that they never become overly good people.
Okay, so, you're from a cold place in the northern part of the Shaftlands, right?
The English language interpretation of this line seems to insinuate that Jack is from a country that is farther north than the Shaftlands rather than from the Shaftlands themselves. As confirmed in a vignette, Jack is, however, from the Shaftlands, just like Cater, Train, Vargas and Vil.
I wish to become capable of granting Floyd's and Azul's wishes.
Jade is intentionally using vague wordplay. Ortho and Idia interpret this line as Jade saying that he wants to grant Azul and Floyd's wishes by himself in order to thank them for everything they do, as he says in the scene. But Jade does not actually say that he intends to grant their wishes. It's the ability to do so that he wants. What he will do with that ability afterwards is left intentionally vague. This actually comes up again in a separate vignette where Jade temporarily transfers to Pomfiore to work as Vil's assistant. He is able to procure a pair of impossible-to-find shoes for Vil by a very elusive designer, impressing Vil extremely and getting Vil a significant opportunity as ambassador for the brand, a brand called Ténèbres, meaning darkness, or shadows, in French, which also comes up in Vil's birthday vignette. And Floyd's wish in the Wish Upon event is for a pair of shoes by a well-known fashion brand, the same brand that produced the shoes that Vil received from Jade. So it seems that Jade actually did get half of his wish, in the form of the ability to grant Floyd's, but instead of using his power for Floyd, he used it for Vil, in order to fulfill a scheme assigned to him by Azul, instead.